whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
I showed up, people. I am here for you the day after the Super Bowl. Darn it. So many other people did not show up. Kim McAllister's not even here. I mean, she deserves time off. She is a rock star. She has stepped in, as we know, when my daughter was in the hospital. She deserves this vacation. Let me just say this at the start. Kim McAllister will be back on Wednesday. So today and tomorrow, you just have me, people. It's just all Nikki all the time, which is fine. I love you guys. And participate in the chat. I'll be reading more of your comments. We have a good interview coming up later on today during our Why Do You Do It segment. It's the author edition. We'll be talking to actually one of my old bosses, Kimmel's old boss. She's gone from the news business into becoming a writer of like supernatural fiction. It's really cool. You won't want to miss that. That's towards the tail end of this hour into the next hour. Of course, we're going to get into the Super Bowl. It is Super Sick Monday. Before that, let's do what we need to do, people. Let's click that thumbs up button. Look, I had mentioned something on Friday about how we're kind of like entering this period of, where's the show going to go? Are we going to be able to maintain it? This is crowdfunded. I mean, the only way we're able to stay on this channel and dedicate ourselves to this full time is because of you. And of course, also to our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, who will be on with us today. AAA Tax Deal, MoskowitzLLP.com is where you go to get any sort of tax help, HR, accounting. Look, I'm going to use Steve. I don't just talk about him. We don't just have him on a show because he's our sponsor. It's because he can really help you. So please tell your friends, use him yourself. He can give you just what you need. If you think it's out of your price range, it's not. Okay. They will work with you to get you the help that you need. So again, AAA Tax Deal, MoskowitzLLP.com, and tell them the Nikki Medoro Show sent you. So, okay, well, you've clicked the thumbs up button once. Also possibly consider donating to our Patreon. I know that it's hard times for some people. Throw us a couple bucks. Just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com. There's a link there. You can donate any amount you want to. You'll be part of this club. I give exclusive stuff there before anybody else on the show does. There's already videos out there. So subscribe so you can see those. And we really do appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on. The super chat is live. Now, the super chat is the $ under the comment box where all you guys are typing and reacting to stuff. You can give super chat, super comments, super thanks, super stickers. I don't know if I'm making up supers, but you get it. You get it. You can donate any amount, a couple of bucks to a lot of bucks. So any amount you can donate, we appreciate. The Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. There's also a link in the show notes if you want to donate through our PayPal. And then, of course, pick up some merchandise like this shirt right here. The Nikki Medoro Shop with a P. The NikkiMedoroShop.com is where you go for that. All right. So I am seeing a lot of you here, which means either you're at home sick or you are not. How many of you celebrated a little too hard on Super Bowl Sunday? A record 18.8 million Americans may miss work after the Super Bowl. Now, this was research done by the Workforce Institute. It's based on an online survey of more than 1,200 employed American adults. Most of them work full-time at a physical workplace and identify as a people manager, with at least one direct report. It found 1 out of every 5 U.S. employees, or an estimated 26.6 million people, were likely to miss at least some work on Super Bowl Monday, which is also being dubbed Super Sick Monday. This included a combined record-breaking 18.8 million employees planning to not go to work at all. Now, I was really into that game. I just really wasn't. I watched it. Our house, many of you know, I just moved. That's why the background looks different. My desk is coming. Like, it's going to look better, people, but we're not there yet. But, I didn't want to have a party yet or, a lot of people. So we just had my parents and my in-laws over. They just came over. We watched the game. I had, furniture delivered because we finally have some new furniture in our bedroom. So it's kind of one of those things. We didn't even make a lot of food. It just wasn't. I didn't even make the cauliflower that I met. Speaking of the cauliflower, though, if you missed it for Friday food segment that I do every Friday, I made that honey garlic cauliflower. Anybody try it? I know one person who did. Look at this. Honestly, best picture I could have woken up. So this is what I made on Friday. I kept a picture of it. Oh no, that's just the video. Hold on. I didn't keep it. But look who made it. Do you guys know who that is? That is right in the middle, Lori above the bar. And with his arm around her is Adam Copeland, Brian Copeland's son. And that's Lori's significant other and Adam's significant other as well. Lori, I love you. This is at the bar. She actually wrote me an email. I'll read it to you. She says, "Hey, Nikki, we had a great Super Bowl, sold lots of Medoro mules." Now, again, guys, you have to go to the Red Jack Saloon. And you have to get our drink special. Lori, when you wrote me and said that a lot of people ordered it, please let me know what they thought of it. I mean, I know that a mule is like a common drink nowadays, but the addition of the club soda, I think, makes it worth it. So there it is, the Red Jack Saloon. On the right of this picture, you see the sign for the Medoro Mule. On the left is the Martini, so you could support both shows, Mark Thompson and the Nikki Medoro Show. So yeah, Lori had it. She said, "I made your cauliflower, wore my Nikki shirt, and hung out with my neighbors and dear friends, Adam Copeland and his significant other, Sasha. Everyone loved the cauliflower." I love this, though. She writes, "But people tend to tell me what I like to hear when I'm serving them alcohol." Yeah. And so I did have a good Super Bowl, but it was pretty mellow. It wasn't anything big. The Niners weren't in it. And we actually went furniture shopping yesterday morning. Like, my husband and I went out and looked for some furniture, and we would never do that on a Super Bowl if we were in any way, shape, or form engaged in this game at all. Let me go through some of the comments in the text line. 11 starts us off with, "I hate Super Bowl parties. I always drink way too much." Eric didn't even watch this year. Was that weird? Because there was part of me where I was thinking to myself, do I even care enough to sit down and watch this game? Anybody in the comments feel, and my dad kept mentioning this during the game yesterday, that the crowd didn't seem loud? I know that it's the Super Bowl and it was a very high scoring game. You would think that with all the touchdowns, it was kind of like a tit for tat type of game there would just be such an uproar. I maintain it's because of who was in the game. The Chiefs and the Eagles, yeah, number one, it just didn't seem like people were that excited for some reason. Oh, well, Wes fell asleep before kickoff, but you're on the East Coast every single time. People mention the time. I go, yeah, back East sucks for them. But yeah, I think that it was exciting, but not exciting, if that makes sense. I hope that I'm trying my best also, by the way, guys, with my connection. I know that it's a bit warbly. My video is apparently stuttering. I'm trying my best. I have Xfinity, so I'm just trying to comment on some of those. Now, Harry writes in, "The day after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday." I agree, but it will never happen. So they do this every year. It's kind of like, daylight saving time. Everybody talks about it whenever we change our clocks back. So fans have proposed moving the Super Bowl to a Saturday so they can rest on Sunday. Now, Roger Goodell, obviously the NFL commissioner, said that idea has been around for a long time. People have talked about it. Now, the reason we have not done it in the past is simply just from an audience standpoint. The audiences on Sunday night are so much larger. Fans want to have the best opportunity to be able to see the game. And we want to be able to give that to them. So Sunday night is a better night. Now, some people have ideas of, solving this problem. One would be to move the Super Bowl to the Sunday before President's Day, which is on the third Monday of February. Most people are off work the next day. Even kids have the next day off. Now, all the NFL would have to do is push the Super Bowl back one more week, since the game is now played on the second Sunday in February. Do you think that this is something that is that important, right? Do you really think that we need to move the Super Bowl? I do. I think that when you're talking about something, when advertisers pay, and we'll get into the ads in a little bit, when advertisers pay $7 million because it's still true that a lot of Americans are watching the same event at the exact same time, when they're willing to fork up that much money, then obviously it's impacting a lot of Americans. I know there's tons of people who love to go, like Kim McAllister, go to Costco. My sister-in-law went to the zoo, right? Because it's empty. Why? Because so many people are doing the exact same thing. And in an age of streaming and recording things and watching it on your own time, the Super Bowl is one of a handful of things that people need to watch live, because there's no point in watching a recorded game, especially this game. You're going to know the outcome of it. So absolutely, I think they should move it. I'm going to give props to Chris. Drank a half a bottle of cheap whiskey and was up by 9 a.m. Good for you, man. Good for you. Another Chris, though, homesick, but actually sick with the cold. Chris B, did your work buy it? I mean, it's one of those things where obviously you're really sick, but it's kind of hard. It's like calling in sick after New Year's or something like that, or the 4th of July. Like, come on. You're probably partying a little too hard. John wrote in, I'm glad Philly lost because they hurt Brock. Yeah. I love the fact I wanted them both to lose. I agree with Christian McCaffrey. I hope they both lose. Kay at Santa Rosa didn't even watch this year. Wow. Oh, Harry has a good point. Was it the crowds or the national broadcast not miking it in? I mean, I feel like if it was truly loud, you couldn't avoid it. Normally, when there's a broadcast and the crowd is so loud, they make that a point of discussion, right? Oh my God, it's so loud, I can barely hear you. They like that. They love a crowd that is totally amped up and ready to go. Okay, so let's get into some other things. Well, you heard about what happened in Philly. Serves them damn right. Apparently, somebody cut the cable lines to Comcast. So they a certain neighborhoods, a couple neighborhoods, lost coverage, but most of them were back online, and this was before kickoff even happened. So it wasn't too big of a deal, but there was definitely a part of me that was like, good. I wanted to just freaking eat crow, if that's the saying. I was so happy to hear about it. So yeah, Eagle fans in parts of the city were tweeting out at Comcast because they were all pissed off about it. That was my worry, because I cut the cord. Hulu was going to have some sort of, disruption. And then my husband was just going to look at me and say, see, this is why we should have DirecTV. But no, it worked out perfectly. We had no delay. I was extremely happy about it. Who caught the flyover? Remember, we talked about this. We had a San Jose native who was part of that flyover. Here she is, Callie Zimmerman. U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander Callie Zimmerman of San Jose, California. She's a graduate of the University of Nevada, Reno. She flew the FA-18E Super Hornet for Strike Fighter Squadron 122, the Flying Eagles. She's accumulated more than 1,300 flying hours and was previously deployed on board the USS Abraham Lincoln. Somebody in the comments, when there was news reports about all of this, they're saying, why is this such a big deal? It's not as if they're landing on the moon or something like this. And of course, I love my men in my life. I love all the men in the comments. I love men. Okay. I'm not trying to hate on men, but it was a man that said this. And throughout history, we have marked the first time men have done anything. So all of a sudden we have an all women flyover team, and we want to make a point to mention it a couple of times and oh my God, you're making such a big deal. Oh, shut up. JR, the flyover was highly publicized, and then they spent all of 10 seconds on it. Missed opportunity. I mean, there was a lot of news reports on it. I thought also, because they do it during the national anthem, I thought Chris Stapleton, and I don't dislike him. I don't have a lot of history with Chris Stapleton. I loved his national anthem. What did you guys think? I thought it was great. I really, really did. I thought that it wasn't over the top, but it was nice and it was soulful. Obviously he hits the right notes. I will say this, and I'm not knocking country music. When you can put a twang on something, it could kind of mask how you hit those notes. But I loved his version. So did Nick Sirianni, the Eagles coach. He was really emotional. I thought it was sweet, but of course the memes began rather quickly for Nick Sirianni. He was bawling. I mean, tears, as you can see in that picture right there, completely coming down his face. And apparently he's an emotional dude. He's gotten emotional in past games as well. Yeah, I agree. Sandberg says Chris Stapleton did a beautiful job. Absolutely. I loved it. Yeah. I like this person writes, SJ Lola, I like the low-key anthem. I thought it was soulful. I don't know. I thought it was really, really cool. A nice way of doing it. But of course, with Nick Sirianni crying, the memes started. And there's only really one meme that I liked the best, and it was this one. Me watching the Super Bowl knowing damn well it should have been the 49ers in this. Absolutely. I don't know how well we would have done against Kansas City. As a Niner fan, I will have to believe that we would have kicked ass. But yeah, that was my favorite meme that came from Sirianni's tears. Let's see. Randy writes in, Sirianni crying because he had a vision of how the game would end. Aw. Yeah, it was good though. I like emotion. You know what I mean? And it's the national anthem. Say what you will. I know there was the Black national anthem sung, which I thought was also very well done. And say what you will about the national anthem, it is still a great song. It moves me, and I'm not gonna feel shame for that. I know that there's racist parts of the song. I don't have an allegiance to the song. I don't care if you're on your knees, if you stand, if you're drinking a beer. I like the national anthem. I listen to it. I think it's very soulful. You do you, and that's being an American. Damn it. But yeah, I thought that it was really, really good, and it was definitely one of the national anthems. It's not going to be in Whitney Houston category, but it was one where nobody's going to criticize it, right? No one's going to criticize how he sung and what he did. There was some criticism, though, a lot coming out of the Super Bowl. One had to do with the field. So apparently this turf. Well, first off, did anyone notice at the beginning of the game? Now, remember, it was played in Arizona. Arizona's weather's right now, it's mild, right? It's not blazing hot. But there was one square of that audience. It was directly in the sun. It was so bright. I thought that they had a spotlight on them, which they did. It was the sun. But anyways, the turf, people were slipping and sliding around. So apparently the field is a grass field, not the regular turf many NFL stadiums have. And it's a mix of Bermuda and ryegrass. And it was not holding up well. Eagles kicker Jake Elliott's kickoff in the third quarter. He slipped and then kicked the ball off with his right foot. His left foot slipped and then he kicked off with his right. Almost twisted his ankle. Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco scored a touchdown and then tried to dance and slipped. So it was not a good display for who's ever behind the turf there. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And you would think for the biggest game all year, players were saying it was like playing in a water park, which you think in Arizona, they wouldn't have that problem. Now, here's another person who's getting a lot of criticism. And it's Terry Bradshaw. Tell me in the comments what you think about what he said. Now, I want you to listen to the whole thing And you tell me, is this two guys? That's Andy Reid, the Chiefs, obviously in the Chiefs uniform, and there's on the left Terry Bradshaw. And this was the exchange as he's getting the Lombardi Trophy. There we go.
Big guy. Let me get the big guy in here. Come on, waddle over here. Congratulations, Andy. This had to be... you've done this before. I remember in the 49ers Super Bowl, nothing until the fourth quarter. And this game's something similar. All of a sudden, your offense just started going. What was the difference?
Well, I contribute that to the offensive line, Pat Mahomes, and the rest of the offensive players. They did a great job. Eric Bieniemy was tremendous down the stretch there, putting things together, and it was just by all the coaches, both sides of the ball.
Well, I want to congratulate you, and I know that you're getting up in years now, like me, and I just know that it's got to be a time that with all these Super Bowls, you got to say to yourself, time to ride off into the sunset. That's not going to happen, is it?
No. I'm going to enjoy this one right here. I'm going to tell you, this is unbelievable. Philadelphia, you did a great job. It was a great game. But how about those Chiefs? That's what we're talking about.
Have a cheeseburger on us and enjoy the Hawaiian shirts.
I will. That's why
congratulations, Dan. Thank you.
Have a cheeseburger on us and enjoy the Hawaii shirts. I mean, okay, the Hawaii shirts, whatever. But what the hell, Terry Bradshaw? I don't think that it's nice to tell somebody to waddle over to you. Rude. And then the whole cheeseburger comment. And then in the middle of it, we're getting up there in years. Now, on one hand, I don't know the personal relationship between Terry Bradshaw and Andy Reid. Maybe they're pals, maybe they're friends, maybe they've had comments like this and we're just not privy to that kind of relationship or that kind of banter. Chris writes in, Bradshaw isn't from politically correct times. He's living in 2023 and he's in broadcasting and he's in the media. I mean, you either know what you should and should not say, or you just don't care, right? JR and ageism. Yep, exactly. Double. Will he hit the trifecta? I don't know. And John makes a good point. He was joking around and Andy thought it was funny. Look, do I think that a waddling comment or a cheeseburger comment is going to take the shine off winning the Lombardi Trophy for Andy Reid? No, I don't think he gives two bleeps about it. But, Terry, just be better, right? Just be better. You don't have to. Gil says it's time for Terry to retire. A lot of people were talking about that. They're saying, his time is done, right? You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be saying this. He is sick. He's battling cancer, I believe. Correct. So, but I'm not saying that he has to. Controversial comments. We'll see if there's really any backlash to it. Apparently, though, according to Randy, Reid's apparently got a thing for cheeseburgers. So, again, is this a joke that we're just not in on? I just think the whole waddling thing, I don't know. Maybe I'm also taking it from a female perspective, right? Somebody was telling me to waddle my ass over to them. I'd be pissed, right? Especially when we were pregnant. Because no freaking way. Now look at this meme that came out. And you know where I'm going to be going with this, guys. But this was what my husband showed me last night. So that's Rihanna up on that stage. Those floating stages were so cool. And this person doesn't mean my dumbass thought that was Andy Reid up there on that stage. Again, because he's all in red, right? And he's a bigger guy. But so is Terry Bradshaw, by the way. It was quite rich for Terry Bradshaw to tell him to waddle his butt over there when they're standing side by side. And I'm like, what are you, a supermodel? No Tom Brady over here. But Rihanna was pregnant. So I'm sitting with my husband in between my in-laws and my parents. And I mean, the commentary from both sides, my husband and I were just looking at each other, cracking up, because God forbid we should just be able to listen to Rihanna sing. It's like, oh my God, what is she wearing? Whatever. It wasn't a popular performance, apparently, for some people in my household. But Rihanna, in my opinion, kicked ass at this. I thought she did an amazing job. There were some questions, though. Do I have the picture? Hold on. I have to download this picture because I I didn't quite understand. And my mom kept cracking up. The Rihanna dancers. So they're like in these puffy outfits. Some people were saying they looked like white Oompa Loompas. I said that they looked like marshmallows, and they kept lifting up their shirts. I thought it was a fun performance, but the stages, that was just amazing. The stages made it going up and down. I thought it was really, really cool. And then there was the question of, her outfit. So she was all in red. She had that kind of like leather or shiny bustier. And then the coat was zipped down below her belly. And I felt like she touched it right at the beginning. But what is the one rule, people, about when you think somebody is pregnant? You don't ask. You wait for them to tell you. And so her rep did confirm that she is pregnant. And I thought it was cool. It was a cool way of making an announcement. I didn't realize this, but before the Super Bowl, Rihanna had said, yeah, I'm going to have a special guest. But there was nobody else that joined her. It was her little bun in the oven. So I thought that it was really, really cool. And Star says, my girlfriend wondered why she was wearing the outfit and wondered if she was pregnant and didn't dance as much. Yeah, because it's been years since she's performed. Obviously, she was pregnant. She had a kid last March or May of last year. She wasn't moving much, but that stage was going up and down. There was one scene towards the end where you could see that stage was moving. I don't know. That was freaking me out. I liked it too, Vilma. I love the stage design, the choreography. The dancers were amazing. Randy, it sure looked during her show that she was pregnant. Yeah. And so she confirmed, or her rep did, which I thought was really, really cool. So yeah, Rihanna is pregnant. We don't know how far along she is, but obviously enough to show. Here, let me show you. Let me share the screen with this. I mean, we should have known, but because she had just had a baby, that's what I was saying. I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty round, but you don't ask, and maybe she just hasn't gotten rid of the weight. But yeah, so here's a picture of it. Let's see if I can get it bigger. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Did I do it right? No. Here we go. I mean, she looks great. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. It looks amazing. But yeah, you can see her. And then why would you zip it down like right beneath the belly if you weren't trying to show it off? That was the other thing. So I really, really liked it. I thought that she did a great job. I think she's just amazing. But yeah, she wasn't moving. She wasn't dancing. No, Vilma, she is pregnant again. She is pregnant again. We don't know how far along she is. But it's exciting, right? I mean, it's exciting that she's going to have another baby, and she was doing it and made quite the announcement. And I thought it was a really, really cool way of doing it. You know who didn't have a baby? Jason Kelsey's wife. Remember, she was like 38 weeks pregnant. Her OB went to the game. Did you know? Who can tell me in the comments if you read the article of what they were joking around about naming their baby girl if she came during the Super Bowl? Does anybody know in the comments what the Kelseys joked around saying that what they would name their baby if, in fact, and it's a girl, she did arrive during the Super Bowl? Does anybody know? Yes, it is confirmed. Okay. So yeah, they were saying, so they were doing this interview with People magazine. And apparently, like, there's a baby name expert that does this during the Super Bowl. And this person gets like 3 of their real choices for baby names. They're not letting us know what it is. But they said, we don't have a name. Oh, this was the wife. Kylie said, but my husband keeps making the joke that if she does come while we are out there, no, it's not going to be Fumble. No, it's not going to be Arizona, that they would name the baby Super. No, it's a joke, obviously. But she's like, it's absolutely ridiculous and absurd. But no, the baby did not come. At least I didn't hear that she even went into labor. 38 weeks, I think you're pretty safe. If you were after your due date, I would say, okay. But finally, yeah, not Chiefs or Eagle. That would be, I mean, you can maybe make it a nickname, like, what's up, Super? But do not name your baby Super. Please do not do that. But finally, the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have been installed as the favorites to win the Super Bowl next season. Caesar Sportsbook has the Chiefs as the favorites to win the next Super Bowl. at plus 550, followed by Niners, baby. Followed by the Niners at plus 600 and Buffalo at plus 650. The Eagles are the next, plus 800 in the sports books early Super Bowl odds. You know where I have my money. My money is on the Niners. So yeah, we'll see if it actually happens. I don't think that there was, when they show the map of who the country is rooting for, I just don't feel like unless you're from Philly or Kansas City, you give two craps about it. And the matchup, I don't know. It was what it was. I watched it. I wasn't overly enthralled. I did like some of the ads. So the M&M ad, did you guys see it? So here it is. This was part of the ads. Back together again. The M&M characters return. I did pull the sound because obviously I can't play you the ad, but here it is.
I can't believe we were actually put on pause.
Am I anxious about being back? Does it seem like I am?
I'm glad to be back because this is what I was made for. I mean, as a walking, talking candy, my options are pretty limited.
So yeah, they're back. There was a lot of, attention on the M&Ms because of Fox News being in an uproar and blah, blah, blah. So they were going to put in Maya Rudolph, the comedian, which they did in one of the ads. And she said that she was going to fill the ads with clams. And they were going to be called Ma and Yaz. It was really, really silly, but it was so successful because it had all of this buildup. We literally had news reports about the M&M spokes candies. You can't pay for that kind of free advertising. But yes, they're back together. Maya and Yaz are not going to be a thing. And I think that if you're going to pay $7 million for an ad, that's the way to do it, people. That is definitely the way to do it. What other ads? Let me know in the comments. Did any of the commercials stick out to you? Let's see. I also liked, I'm going to be honest. I thought that the Ben Affleck Dunkin' Donut ads were pretty funny. Now I saw one live and then I went back and I saw a bunch of the other ones. I thought that was pretty clever. I love how his accent got thicker. JR with the Breaking Bad popcorners. I thought that was clever. Another one that I liked the McDonald's Know Your Order one, but I feel like that was just because it was really sweet. It was really nice. Like, do you know your partner's order? And apparently McDonald's now has launched a Cardi B, because Cardi B and Offset were in the commercial. And so they're dropping it as a meal. And it's not even that unique of a meal. What is it? Hold on. Let me see if I can get it right. So it is... So it's a cheeseburger paired with barbecue sauce, a large Coca-Cola. That's Cardi B's order. And then Offset's is a quarter pounder with cheese, a large Hi-C orange lava burst. And then it also includes an apple pie and a large order of fries to share. I mean, it's kind of cute. I thought it was really cute. Is it Tubby ad that caused a domestic dispute at my Super Bowl party was brilliant. Kim writes in that. Randy liked the Ben Affleck ones as well. Oh, the Busch Light Sarah McLachlan ad. That was pretty cute. That was pretty funny. Although, because she does the ads for the animal rescues, is she making fun of the work that she does for the animal rescues? I mean, you shouldn't think too much about it, but I thought it was kind of funny. I liked the Miles Teller commercial where they were dancing to the hold music. I thought that was pretty cool too, Randy. Let's see. The John Travolta ad. I mean, that one was making the rounds. That was the T-Mobile ad with the guys from Scrubs. I thought that was cute. My mom, she was shocked. She thought he lost a lot. John Travolta lost a lot of weight. I'm glad you brought this up, John. The ads for Jesus. Oh, yeah, I love it. If Jesus has Super Bowl ad money, tax the effing churches, right? What did you guys think of that? I mean, I didn't mind what was in the ads, but at a time when, it's kind of that argument that we've been having forever. It's the most religious people don't seem to live or speak by the rules of their own religion oftentimes, right? The most hateful words can come out of people who claim to be oh so religious. The whole idea of being woke as being a bad thing, and yet you have these sort of ads. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad, But yeah, it was quite interesting to kind of watch. Let's see. Oh, but Randy disagreed. You didn't like the Jesus commercial. I think just kind of using Jesus in that way is kind of tacky. I get that, but I didn't mind kind of the messaging of trying to be a good person and, I'm raised Catholic, so I don't mind it in that instance. The lady Beatrice with a $5 donation. Thank you for that. I'm going to read your comment and I'm going to give some other shout outs because you guys are really helping out in the super chat today. Lady Beatrice writes, I did not like the Clueless commercial. I've never been so embarrassed to be a 90s kid, and I'm not impressed with the new take on M&Ms. Okay, so the M&M spokes candies are back. I thought it was kind of clever for the free advertising. The Clueless commercial I had to watch this morning. I didn't catch it live. If you don't already know, I was a huge Clueless fan. We used to break the law, I guess, and sit outside the drive-ins and kind of tune our radio in to kind of watch Clueless when it was in the theaters when I was a kid, because we could not afford to go every single time. We watched it so many times. I loved it. I thought it was cute. I really did. Alicia Silverstone does not age, apparently. And neither does the other girl that does the whatever. They looked really good to me. I thought it was cute, but let me see. I can't tell you what it was actually for. Hold on, let me think. Oh, Rakuten. Rakuten, that's what it was. I remember. I just watched it this morning if I couldn't remember. I mean, Jesus. I didn't catch the Jennifer Coolidge dolphin commercial. I must have missed that one. I'll have to go back to catch that one. Oh, Randy takes it back. You had a good message. Okay, I was thinking. I was like, I kind of like the message. JR says we were booing during the Workday ad since they laid off a bunch of people. This was also in the news too. Oh, so you have $7 million to buy a Super Bowl ad, but you're going to lay our butts off? Thanks. Yeah, it was a bit tone deaf. I agree, Harry. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, someone agrees with me. Sherry, Alicia Silverstone's Clueless was great and slipped in Christian Siriano. I'll have to rewatch it. I didn't know that Christian was in it. Okay, good. I thought so too. The Tony Romo as the Bill Murray character. I thought it was Tony Romo, right? In Caddyshack. I didn't think that was really that good. I didn't like it either. It was for Elf Cosmetics. Okay, I'll have to look that up, Kim. All right, I'll have to look that up. John missed a lot of the commercials because I'm so used to going to get snacks or pee during them. Okay. But again, I was not that enthralled, honestly. It wasn't something that I was just completely really wanting to watch and those sorts of things. So they were okay. Harry writes in, I liked the soccer commercial. The soccer commercial. Can you give me some more? I should have been paying way more attention to them. I was making notes. I thought that I had done a pretty good job of keeping track of all the ads. Speaking of ads, I'm just going to throw this in. You guys can continue to comment on them. Google had made a big mistake with its ad. Do you hear about this? Alphabet lost $100 billion in market value last week. This was last week, though. I want to make sure my dates are right. Yeah. This is like last week or the week before. This month. So apparently, Bard is a conversational bot that Google launched as a competitor to that Chat GPT. Okay, so we talked about Chat GPT, where you could just kind of put in, what do you want me to write about? And the AI kind of writes something for you. Kids are using it to write their term papers. People are using it for all sorts of ads. Maybe I'll talk about it a little later in the show, how people are using it in their everyday business, the Chat GPT. But anyways, Google, who's, I would say, top. Everybody competes with Google, where Google is trying to compete with Microsoft's Chat GPT. Okay, so there was an ad that ran on Google's Twitter feed, and it described Bard as a launch pad for curiosity and a search tool to help simplify complex topics. And then an accompanying GIF prompts Bard with this question. What new discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope can I tell my 9-year-old about? The chatbot responds with a few bullet points, including the claim that the telescope took the very first pictures of exoplanets, or planets outside Earth's solar system. blah, 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 blah. The only problem is it's wrong. The James Webb Telescope did not discover exoplanets. The European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope took the first pictures of those special celestial bodies in 2004. And then they're like, Google, you could have Googled it first. And so people are like, screw Bard. We're going to go use Chat GPT. So I know. And Harry, you're right. 100 billion. I think they have more cash than that. It's a drop in the bucket. But $100 billion in market value is a response to what you are trying to use to compete with something that's really caught on with people. Like if you mention Chat GPT to people, at least in Silicon Valley, they know what you're talking about, or they've heard something about it. Go ahead. Say Bard. And I think that's the problem, right? It's Google knows damn well what it means to be at the top of the search page. And right now it's Chat GPT. And so that's definitely a problem. I do want you guys to stay tuned, though. In a few minutes, I'm going to do our new segment called Why Do You Do It? And I'll be speaking with a supernatural fiction author who I have history with. She was my old boss over at Station X for a while. And we'll get into that as well. So you get some inside baseball over at Station X, and moving from the news business over to becoming an author. And her and her husband made some really drastic steps in their personal life to make this dream come true. So that's going to be coming up. I do want to give some shout outs to people who have been donating to my super chat. The super chat is live, and I really want to thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And is it because Kim's not here with me? You guys are taking pity on me. I love it. But thank you. We really need this financial support. I need it. Kim needs it, because this is a crowd-sourced show. We have Steve Moskowitz as our exclusive founding sponsor, and we really appreciate it. And we want to keep that relationship going, obviously. But, this being our full-time job, I hate begging for money. I know Mark hates it as well, but this is the way we need to do it. And so I really appreciate everybody kind of stepping up and helping us out. So let me give some shout outs. I'm going to start with Lori, who just donated $20. Thank you, Lori. Lori above the bar. Lori says, people love the Medoro Mule. The soda cuts the sugar from the ginger beer, so they think that's healthier. Whatever. It probably is. I also wanted to let people know that we hired a Moskowitz for personal and business. They are fantastic and patient, and we recommend. Oh, that is the best news I have ever heard, Lori. Thank you. Because honestly, like when you become a sponsor of the show, like Steve Moskowitz does, he let us take off running. But obviously, we want to give back to him as well. And Lori, I appreciate you, using Steve. Please continue to let us know how that goes, and we will share the love with all of our listeners. Because again, I've spoken with Steve. I'm going to be using Steve for my tax and accounting services. So it's not as if I'm just blowing smoke up your guys' butts, right? He really can help you. And Lori, that's awesome. So thank you again. And thank you for the $20. $20 from Pamela Kirby. Thank you for the $20 super sticker. Lady Beatrice, another shout out for the $5. And she did not like that Clueless commercial. I thought it was pretty good. James with a $5 super sticker. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Nancy writes in, love you and Kim, and so grateful for Steve Moskowitz doubling my Patreon to do what I can to keep you in my life. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. I know Steve appreciates it. Kim appreciates it. I'll speak for her. And again, I don't know if you guys know, the reason Kim's not here is it's her little boy Jacob's birthday. Jacob, who sings the song at the end of my show every day. It's his birthday. So they're off on a vacation, a much deserved vacation. So I hope that Kim is enjoying that. But yes, I will pass along all this love and a $10 donation from Nancy. And thank you for joining to the Patreon. You can do it by going to theNikkiMedoroShow.com. The Patreon link is there, and we always appreciate it. Vilma with a $10 super sticker. Thank you. Thank you. $5 from Ms. Organic, another super sticker. And Wes coming in with a super sticker as well for $2. And Rick started us off with $25. Rick, everybody in the super chat, I love you. I appreciate you guys so very much. I just know that we're going to be able to keep this going. I do. I feel it in my soul. I really, really want to. But this is my only job, and I'm trying to do shorts. I'm trying to do some special stuff for my Patreons. I know. Am I glitching a lot? Joe Box is saying a better internet provider. JR has been helping me. I was on with with Xfinity, which I'm using, which is the fastest that I can get out here. Over the weekend, I'm trying to get someone to pull a new coax line. That's what I'm waiting for. So hopefully I can get the band, but hopefully the audio is still coming in pretty clear, even if I might be jittery or whatever. But good. Ryan says there's no glitch for him. So I'm assuming it's going to go back and forth. But you know what? I have to let it go. I just can't do it. I can't focus on it or I'll go insane. What? We have another $20 coming in from Harry. A bigger house deserves more teddy bears for your daughter. I'm going to take a picture. My daughter's room, if you're not into super like Squishmallows, would be a nightmare. I walked into her room yesterday and she's setting up. She's got Squishmallows from this size to like this size. And she has them on her wall. I'm going to get her a gigantic net. I told my husband, I'm like, we should hang the net above her bed so that if there's ever an earthquake, she could just get showered in Squishmallows and it'll wake her up. But yeah, it's she has so many. So very many. Oh, Karen Cooper with a $20 donation. I can't always listen in very much, but I want you to stay on the air, Nikki. Mwah. Thank you. You know what? Another thing that you guys can do besides clicking the thumbs up and obviously donating is tell your friends and family. I want to get up to 4,000 subscribers. I'm like right there. I'd like to get to 10 as quickly as possible. But if you guys can spread the word and let them know, like Karen can't always listen, but if you can get people to subscribe, get my subscriber numbers up, because then YouTube, it's all AI and algorithms and stuff like that. And it really helps me out. And you don't have to watch every day because you can watch it anytime you want to on replay. So if, talk about the show, advertise the show. Again, buy some merchandise. Let me show you some of the pictures again before we get to the why do you do it. We do have the hoodies. Here we go. Here's the black hoodie with the red air tower. That's the back, of course. And then we have it in white as well. So that's awesome. It has a black air tower on the front. We have the AirPod cases, which I know you guys listen with oftentimes. So yeah, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. We have coffee cups, we have t-shirts, we have a tumbler, we have a bunch of stuff. So check it out. The NikkiMedoroShop.com is where you go. And that's another way to support the show. And it's just going to be so much, it's going to be so much fun to keep the show going. Okay. So let's get into why do you do it? Now, Kim's going to be in this interview. We had to pre-record it, and it's with one of our old bosses. Now, my boss, when she was my boss, went by Deb Monroe, and she's going to explain to you, why she decided to change. I'm going to put that in quotes, change her name, because it's not as cut and dry of, I'm just going to go by this name. There's a whole story behind it. But yeah, she made a huge transition over from news to becoming an author. And it's fascinating. I think a lot of us feel like we have a book inside us, especially if you're in media or you're a writer in other parts of your life. You always feel like you have a book inside you. And so please let me know. Listen to the interview. We'll come back after the interview and talk some more about it. I've got some other stories. Galentine's Day is today. I had posted a tease in Mark Thompson show about Galentine's, and I think somebody thought it was a typo. No, today, February 13th. It's Galentine's Day. How many of you are participating? Gals out there. So we'll talk about that, a bunch of other stuff. But first, we definitely want to check in with Deb. Click that thumbs up button also while you're watching this interview, because that helps the show so much. Okay, so this is the author edition of Why Do You Do It? All right, hold on. I'm getting it up. This is my first time doing it, so you guys have to stay with me for a second. Okay, here we go. 1 second, my people. Hold on. All right, let's play this. We actually call it in local radio. We call it Station X. because they let us go unceremoniously. But it's KGO Radio. So, but you when we were together, we actually all work together in local radio. We call it Station X because they let us go unceremoniously. But it's KGO Radio. So, but you when we were together went by Deb Monroe. Yes. I've introduced you as author, Debra Casteneda. Can you talk a little bit before we get into your whole career path, the change of the name?
Yes. So I had a maiden name that was no one could pronounce, and it was a Mexican-American name, Morones.
Oh.
Morones. Okay. So for many years, I endured people saying morons party of three.
Oh,
are you kidding? Oh no.
There's an E in there. How is
it moron? How would you default to moron, right? Or moron.
California.
Morons.
Who doesn't know morones?
So in school, it was Boney Maroney. And then I graduated to morons party of three. And even the Mexican families would say, what kind of name is that? Because it's not the most common Mexican-American name. So when I got married, Monroe is not that far from Morones. So I'm like, I'm taking that. And I no longer had to endure the mispronunciations. But when I turned my attention to writing, it was really important for me to represent myself as a Latina author because I'm Latina. Yeah. And I'm from Southern California. And the story that I wanted to tell was the first story I wanted to tell was the story of my family, my mother and her family, being evicted from Chavez Ravine, which is where Dodger Stadium now stands. And once upon a time, they were mostly three Mexican-American communities. And so there was a plan from the city of Los Angeles to build a low-income housing project. Long story short, the low-income project never happens. Hundreds of families, mostly Mexican-American, were evicted. And eventually the Dodger Stadium was built after a long period of time. So this was the story I always wanted to tell. But I didn't know how to tell that story until I found my way to supernatural fiction. And I thought, I don't want to tell this story straight on. There's some really wonderful nonfiction accounts of what happened to Chavez Ravine. But I wanted to tackle the story through fiction. And so I decided that I would do that. But I wanted to represent my family. And so I started using the name of Casteneda, which is very hard for people to mispronounce. The only confusion there is I do get the occasional, are you related to Carlos Casteneda? And I said, no, I'm not. So that's
Casteneda. I pronounced your name wrong even in the
No, you know what? No, we lost the Enye along the way.
Oh,
so
okay.
We lost the squiggle. So it's Casteneda. Yeah.
Casteneda. Okay.
Yeah.
I do, there's a part of me that doesn't want to say it that way because I feel like it's not authentic, but I just find it fascinating because you went from, yes, it's a different type of medium, right? I mean, you went from radio and TV to writing books, writing fiction. Was it a hard decision to make?
No, because as we all know, television or radio is a really tough business.
Yeah.
We actually all work together.
One thing that news gives you is bucklu. We have amazing bucklu.
Yeah. We actually all work together in local radio. We call it Station X.
Yeah.
We actually all work together in local radio. We call it Station.
Straight to Salt Lake City, where I worked for 4 years. Talk about a change. And I worked in TV news there for 4 years. Great state, great television station. And then my husband and I bounced around all over. And because my husband's parents are in Casper, Wyoming, we've spent a lot of time, traveling through Wyoming to get to them. So I love those states. So I've set 2 of my stories in the Rocky Mountain West.
I wanted to mention, because I don't know, we said we were connected, but I don't know if everybody knows that Deb was our boss. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. She was our boss.
I wonder, is it hard for you going from a busy newsroom, being in charge, being the person everyone looks to, every time there's an issue, to going to a more quiet where you're really only having to handle yourself. Was that a huge change for you?
Yes and no. First of all, let me just address one thing about being a boss and a manager in this day and age. It's actually kind of shocking to think that like you can be good at your job and then they go, we're going to make you a manager.
Yeah. Which is
like,
a whole
that's
different
usually what
thing.
happens.
Okay, so it's like, oh, I was good at writing and I was good at assignment editing and scheduling. It doesn't necessarily follow without having management experience that you're going to manage a newsroom of creative folks of different backgrounds and without training.
Yeah.
So that is the natural course of managers today. You're good at what you do. You work hard. Let's make you a manager. So you come to it. And that, to me, was the most shocking thing, is that abrupt change into management when you're not really familiar with how to do it because you didn't get training for it.
Did you ever consider saying no?
No, it was too much of an opportunity because there were some aspects of the job that one really likes. Now I could see my vision, not necessarily of like trying to manage or control people, but now I can do these things editorial wise that I would really love to do. But managing the people, I think, was definitely the hardest part of the job. And so
think she's calling us a pain in the ass.
I don't know. You guys
no, actually, because what I was always appreciative of with the KGO newsroom is that it did skew older. Yeah. All of you had experiences from other newsrooms, and I was dealing with, adults who had worked in 1, 2, 3 newsrooms before. And so I was dealing with professionals and somebody, not to say that somebody out of college, but, for the first 2 years out of college, it's like you're basically running, there's a lot of hand holding going on. So, so no, it wasn't so much that, but I felt bad because oftentimes, now I can be really honest about it, is that, people would come to me, I'm like, I don't know. Let me go, let me
Google that.
Book. Hold on, let me go read a book and get back to you. So, I was reading books and listening to podcasts. And there was this really great one because, radio stations are crazy places to work in.
They are.
And you have, these are very different creative people. And, it's not like any other business office. So I found this great podcast called My Crazy Office. And me being as crazy as anybody else, because you know what, when you're a manager, you bring your own shit. Can I say this? You bring your own shit, right? And sometimes you have to get yourself out of the way in order to, but there's such a steep learning curve. And so unfortunately for you guys, I just began to learn and then I left.
Yeah, because, okay, so talk about that. You left radio to go to television. Had you ever done TV before?
Yeah, I started. So when I worked in Salt Lake City, I was a TV news producer.
What do you like better, TV or radio?
Probably radio.
Yeah.
TV has so many limitations with, do you have the picture, and then you have to worry about the way people are, the way they look, and people are worried about the way they look and how they're presenting. And so now it's just not how they sound. Yeah. Now they're worried about their on-air performance as well.
Yeah.
So
believe me, doing this, we know. Like it was such a dramatic thing. And I love how you talk about becoming a manager and that kind of steep learning curve. So I remember when KGO offered me the morning show, it was a huge opportunity that I felt I was ready for. But at the same time, it's a whole different basket of responsibility that falls on your shoulder when, you're having to lead instead of just kind of react. And then going from that to having to do this, where not only do you have to lead, but then you become your producer, your back end person, your, business person. And I have zero big goose egg experience doing any of this. And so it's definitely building the plane as it's flying.
Good way to
while
put it.
while the show is on, I love it. But I'll be honest, it's tough, before and then when you're planning the show after, it's a tough gig. And do I like being my own boss? Yes. But then again, you're your own boss. There's no one else to look at to be like, what do I do right now?
Exactly.
So now as an author, that's just a whole different beast though. Your creativity. I mean, you've written, obviously several books. The most recently, the two one that you were just talking about. Do they pour out of you? Is it a lot of work? Talk about your process a bit.
Well, I'm not a pantser. I'm an outliner.
Okay.
So I write an outline and then I pretty much stick to it. So, sometimes my outlines will be 20, 30 pages long.
Oh,
and, I know what I'm going to do in every chapter. Now, some people will say that is going to hamper your creativity and you won't be able to discover or excavate your story. And I'm like, no, it's just an outline. What it prevents you from doing is getting lost. It's a roadmap. And, once you get into, chapter 10, chapter 15, and you become more familiar with your characters, it's like they have a life of their own suddenly, and you begin to diverge a little bit from your outline. But as the way I think of it, I wrote the outline. I can change things up if I want.
Right.
The outline police are not going to show up and make me, write it a certain way. So, that's what I do. I first start off with an outline. I do my research, and then I do a word count. So sometimes I'll shoot for 1,500 words a day, 3,000 words a day.
Oh.
I've written up to 5,000 words a day. And I do try, the way I work, the way I write doesn't work for everybody. I write like there's a gun to my head and there's someone in back of me yelling at me to finish. And once I start, I'm all in because that's all I can do. That's all I can think about.
Right.
So, I know that some people can spend upwards of a year writing a book, but I have the time. I could take a year, but I can't write like that. It has to be in a very compressed time frame. So I try and get my shitty first draft out in a month. So I'll write, 75,000 words in a month.
I wonder if that's not the news person in you, because that's really how we have to be when, Deb's telling you, I need the story and I need it in about 3 minutes and 24 seconds.
Right. We're on at 3. Go.
Right. Yes. And by the way, you need to interview this guy. And not that you would do that to me, but I'm just saying, like, you have, you have a definite time constraint. And a lot of us work the best under that constraint. For a lot of us, that's the motivator, that if you were left to your own devices, you spend the whole day working on that story. But if someone said, I need that in 5 minutes, you get it to them in 5 minutes.
Exactly. And then I also would argue that even if I were to fuss over it endlessly, the improvement would probably just be, incrementally small. And so, but I edit and I edit and I edit and I edit. So you get up, I finish the shitty first draft and then, I'll give myself maybe a few days off from it. I don't do what other people do is I'm going to walk away from my manuscript for, 2 weeks or a month. I don't want to let it sit that long.
Right.
A couple of days is like enough. And then I go back at it. But I'm not, and another thing that I have going for me as you or anybody else working these, I'm not really wedded to my words. I am used to being edited. And as you know, you always write longer and then you have to cut it down to hit your airtime, right? Whatever you were given. And so I have no problem going choppity chop and, cut. And it's a lot of snipping. And so, I take many passes through it. I actually really enjoy the editing phase more than I actually do the rough draft phase because now I have something to work with and I have something to hone.
So you don't use a different editor. You don't have anybody else editing the books for you.
Oh, I do.
Oh, okay.
I do. So while I publish my own work under my imprint, and just so you know, the reason I do that is at my age and my stage, I don't feel like I have years of my life to spend querying and finding an agent.
Oh, I see.
Who might or might not be able to get my novel placed, and then have it sit in the pipeline for another couple of years.
Right.
It's 5 years. I don't feel like I have that ramp, and I'm also a little bit too controlling. I like to control what my book cover looks like, what I'm going to write. But I do have a team of people. There's certain things I would never do on my own, because I want my book to be out there and not have anyone able to distinguish between my finished product that they see up on Amazon or Powell's Books or wherever they see the book cover, how it reads inside. I want it to fit in. And so I hire a professional book cover. It's not anything I would ever try and do on my own. I don't have those skills. And then I do hire beta readers. And they are the people who will look at, my draft, and I give it to them, and I don't even give them any instruction. Tell me what you think of this book. Oh. And then they're going to pick it apart. They're going to say, I like these characters. This one irritated me. Your ending sucked. And I've had twice where people said your ending.
I want to be a beta reader. I didn't even know that was a job.
Yeah. Cool. Now, some people do it for free.
Yeah.
I can't ask people to do that for free. I'm not going to ask somebody to read 75,000 words for free and give me feedback. To me, that's a service. And so I happily pay people to rip it apart. And, I really love the feedback that they give. And I usually hire, 3 to 4, maybe even 5 people to take a look. And then I take all of their notes. And then I won't agree with every single one, but you can see themes emerge. And I often agree with them. And then I rewrite. Then when I feel it's ready, then it goes to the editor. And I have an editor who specializes in dark fiction and horror. And then she goes through it. And then right before I hit publish, I will find a bunch of typos. Even after it's proofread, because that's how it is. You said, so I love the control. But I'm also working with a team of people. Right. I would never put anything out there without that feedback.
Let's talk about being a supernatural writer and the genre of books. Were you always interested in this? And what the people who read your book, because I can imagine like history books, they're really nitpicky about certain things. I mean, is there this kind of community that's very welcoming? Is it a hard community to be in? Talk about being in this kind of book genre.
Well, that's a really great question. It's something I give a lot to, is like, where do my books sit on that spectrum of horror? Because horror can be all the way from, gothic, thriller, haunted houses, all the way to extreme horror with the blood and the guts and the gore, to splatter punk. And then there's all these subgenres. And I would say the biggest theme that emerges in the horror community, both with authors and readers, is it scary enough?
Right. That's what I would think.
How scary is it? And it can be, I found that to be really sort of daunting, like, oh my God, my book isn't scary enough. But then, it's taken some time. I am now comfortable with, I don't write extreme horror. Right. And to be honest, the only book that has ever really scared me was The Exorcist, because I was bringing with it my trappings of Catholicism and my obsession with demonic possession, whatever. And it was such a new type of book. It truly terrified me. Since then, no matter how scary the book is, I know it's a book. It's a book. Now, do I get creeped out? Do I get shivers? Ooh, that's creepy. Absolutely. I want that. But it doesn't really scare me. So when people are saying, is this really scary? Is this really scary? It is so subjective, because what scares you is not going to scare me and we all have this spectrum of what is scary. So there is that conversation. And I used to sort of obsess, like, is my book scary enough to qualify? But then what we're all trying to do is we write the way we write, and then we hope to connect with the right reader who is going to appreciate what you have to give, what you have to say. So that's a little bit of a challenge, connecting with your reader. I will say that my readers probably tend to be a little bit older, but every once in a while I'm like, oh, wow, this person looks like maybe 25. So, there's certainly a range there.
Do you ever scare the holy hell out of yourself and think, Deb, where did that come from inside of you? What kind of darkness is lurking?
Yes. Yes, sometimes. Actually, it's funny. I won't say what it is, but I have another book that I'm going to be writing as a dark circus origin story for my cryptids, my monsters from the Devil's Shallows. And so there's going to be a passage on a ship. There's going to be creatures in these cages that are mysterious. And then I thought, well, who is the antagonist? So I thought, it's going to be this deranged circus master with dark secrets. And so I thought of something really twisted for him to do. And I told my husband, he said, what the hell is wrong with you? Should I be worried? It's like, yeah, I really went to the dark side on that one. But mostly my interest in the supernatural is this. It is that if the supernatural were to happen to you or to me, what would the average reaction of a reasonable person believe?
Right.
It would take you a long while to figure it out.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's just not like, oh, I suddenly accept that thing I saw is a ghost or a monster. There's going to be a lot of denial and a lot of, it's not that, it's this. That's what really interests me, getting them from there to there.
Because we don't have scary music playing in the background of our lives in real life. So we don't know.
How does it feel to, I think a lot of times people fall into careers, or you do it for so long that it's just what you do, right? But at this point in your life, when you've chosen this path, how does it feel to be doing what you love and finally getting to the root of who you are and knowing this is where you're meant to be?
Well, that's a great question. This is something I've always wanted to do. Like, I wrote my first murder mystery when I was in the 5th grade because, fifth graders are really experts on murder, right? So, it's something I've always wanted to do. But where I grew up and in the family I grew up, I did not grow up in a family of readers. I was a reader, but there was no one else who was a reader. And as a matter of fact, my mother found all my reading to be very irritating because get those books off the table. It was cluttered to her, right? So and as a matter of fact, when I went to high school, I was put into the business program, which meant I was going to be trained to be a secretary because they didn't think I was smart enough to be in the college prep classes. So by the time I decided that, this is back in the day, that I wanted to go to college, I couldn't even go to a 4-year college. I had to work full time and pay my own way through community college to get the college preparatory classes that would allow me to get into a 4-year institution. Mm-hmm. So I never imagined that I can be a fiction writer. That was just something that would never ever have occurred to me. And even if somebody had said, that's something you can do, it wasn't like a job.
Right.
Like my family was about jobs and not unconventional jobs. It's the 9 to 5. They were perfectly thrilled with me being a legal secretary. I come from a family of laborers. And so the fact that I was going to be a secretary, going to work in a skirt and high heels and making decent money and having healthcare, they thought I had arrived. So when I went back to college to make less money in news, Yeah, it's like, really, that was dumb. But, I was, pat myself on the back, but no, I never would have occurred to me it was a possibility. But now that I'm doing it, I absolutely love it. And I'm very well suited to locking myself up in a tiny office and writing all day and not having to manage people who deserve a professional, better trained manager and all those and doing all that. So this is where I say sometimes, for the younger people out there where you have this job, but you've had this idea in the back of your head, if you can get out soon enough from whatever 24/7 thing that is, captivated you, and there's still time in your life to pursue this other passion. So, I could not be happier.
Oh, I love hearing that. Now again, I'm going to show you guys the books. These are all of Deb's books. I'm assuming Debra, we can find them on Amazon, obviously.
Yes.
Are they in bookstores or are they only online? How does that work?
Okay, well, you probably could find some of them through some of the larger independent bookstores. I do not know how that has happened. I did not place them there, but they are for sale there. But it's mostly through Amazon. In the book world, I know that people have an anti-Amazon sentiment, and I am getting to the point of authoring signed author copies for those who have an Amazon objection. But I have to say, from an author's point of view, putting out her own work, it is very expensive for me to do dual distribution outside to, say, Barnes and Nobles and independent bookstores, because all of those require distribution channels that I do not have. So, that is one of the benefits of traditional publication. However, I have to say that my books have done very well on Amazon. I've enrolled them in Kindle Unlimited, which I actually happen to like, because for $9.99 a month, I can read an unlimited number of books on Kindle Unlimited. And if I don't like it, I move to the next thing. And so I actually get a lot of page reads. And I want to say more than 50% of my income comes from those Kindle Unlimited reads.
That's cool.
So
I always wondered how that works. If people aren't paying to buy the book, how would be a make financial sense for the author?
Yeah, you get paid per page read.
Oh, that is awesome. Okay.
So
if they like it, you get paid more.
So, so basically one of my books, I think I've had like more than 1 million page reads in a year.
Wow.
So they, though it adds up, but here's the deal. And I will say this, is that it does take a while to get a foothold. Who are you? People want to see that you're committed to writing. They want to see more books out there. So the more that you write, that is the best benefit. That's how an author can serve themselves, is write the next book so that you have a back catalog of books. So with every sale and somebody likes your newest book, they'll go out and hopefully check your other books. So it lists your back catalog as well.
I do that. If I like one, I search the author's name. So yeah.
Yes.
Let me read them for those that are just listening and not watching. The Devil's Shallows, The Root Witch, The Copper Man are all kind of part of, what is it? The Dark Earth Rising. Yeah. And then there's The Monsters of Chavez Ravine and The Night Lady. So check out those books. You can get them on Amazon. Debra, you'll always be Deb to me. Yeah. I've fully enjoyed. I've loved watching the transition that you've made to writer. Yeah. I am completely jealous as well. I think that you're a great example of just what you were saying, that it's never too late to start something that you've wanted to do. And I just really appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
I do. And again, anytime you have something to promote, you have a new book, come back on the show. We'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We actually all work together. Hey, thank you guys for your patience with that. That was Debra Casteneda. She is the author. I apologize for all the hiccups there. That's my first time doing a share screen type of thing. So please forgive me. Please forgive me for all of that. But what did you guys think? Are you one of those people that love supernatural movies, you're gonna have to forgive me because I'm getting messages from my daughter's school. So I have to do this at the exact same time because, of course, things happen when I'm doing stuff like that. But what did you guys think? Do you guys like natural or supernatural type of fiction? Because I kind of feel like when I'm talking about horror movies and stuff like that, I never really think of the book aspect of it all. I'm always like, well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be as scared as I would possibly maybe with movies or something like that. But you tell me in the comments, what are your favorite types of books that you like to read? Is it something where you like to stay away from scary things, or do you like to be right in the middle of it? I don't know. I love the fact that Debra Casteneda is doing this. I think that, being able to make that transition so quickly is awesome. So, 1 second. I apologize for all of this. My daughter is having a bit of an issue at school. So if you guys can just give me 2 seconds, Kim McAllister would be doing all of this for me, but she is on vacation. If you guys are just joining me, Kim McAllister is celebrating her son's birthday, which she should be doing. Absolutely should be doing. And so usually if I'm having an issue with a child, she would be doing it. But again, we got to do what we got to do. And that's all fine and dandy with me. So let me make sure I'm getting back to people. Oh, Jesus, Lord Almighty, child. Okay. So coming up, we're going to talk about Galentines. Oh, hold on. Let me get to some of these. Dora says that she likes psychological thrillers. Name an author. Can you guys name an author for me that you absolutely love? I like those ones. You know who I really like? James Patterson. I've mentioned it before. James Patterson. He does the Alex Cross books. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I like books that just keep going, right? The thing with James Patterson is once you read one chapter, you have to just keep going and turn the page and turn the page and turn the page. And so if I could do that, then you have me absolutely hooked. Check out Deb. I want to put her name up here. Can I type this in? Deb Casteneda is an amazing author. And I will actually put a link in the show notes at the end because she's amazing. But you know who else is amazing? Our friend, exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, who is here with us. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. I got a message from one of our viewers that said, Lori above the bar, other people have been using you, are going to use you for their services. And I'm so happy because I'm going to be using you. You can help people sleep better if they're having any sort of issue. Taxes, HR, accounting, whatever.
Sleep the sleep of the innocent.
I love it. I love it. So tell us about what you're getting calls about right now. I mean, ERC, you were very, very busy doing. Is that still?
Yeah, and we still are.
Okay, good.
And, as a matter of fact, just today I was talking with ERC people, and it is amazing how much money the clients are getting from the ERC.
Nice.
And most people that I talk to are just so happy to go ahead and get it. But of course, we always have the people that have questions, like the one we talked about last week that walked away from her $900,000. And we don't want that to happen. And also, it's an awful lot of people are missing out because of the two tests. There's two different ways to qualify. And that's where the government is giving away $26,000 for every employee that you had during 2021 and 2020 that qualifies. You only have to qualify in one of the two tests, but most everybody is just looking at the easy test, the math test. Did you have a certain drop in gross revenue? But a lot of places are just set up for, hamburger style, quick, high volume. And it's a crying shame because they're telling people you don't qualify when they do, because they don't want to take the extra work. We don't care if we have to do extra work. And sometimes, for example, today I was meeting with a client and we got about halfway there and it looks like he qualifies for about half. He's going to get a nice sum of money, but he still didn't do enough homework for the other portion. So I sent him back. We're going to have our third meeting after he does some more homework for me. Most firms don't want to do that. Just yes or no, hurry up, hurry up. We don't. The only thing we care about is getting you the maximum amount of money. So if you've been told you don't qualify for ERC because your gross revenue didn't drop enough, talk to us. Let's see if you qualify under the other test, the subjective test. If you do, you're entitled to just as much as the first test.
That is awesome. Yeah. I mean, you were talking last week about that woman leaving, what, $1 million on the table because she just didn't want to go back. I mean, you hear all different types of stories of what people are going through. You are trying to make sure that they don't spiral down, get divorced, lose people in their family. Because when you talk about money, taxes, people have this conjuring of the government's going to come after me and throw me in prison. They don't have to do that with you, Steve, because you have the answers and you can help them get the right help that they need.
We're here for you. Old fashioned, we talk to you, see what's going on, explain it in simple terms.
Perfect.
And then go ahead and get your money or take care of your problem, or just explain, here's what's going on, here's how you fix this.
Perfect. So give Steve a call, AAA Tax Deal, MoskowitzLLP.com. That's 888 Tax Deal or MoskowitzLLP.com. Thanks, Steve. Have a great one. Bye-bye. All right. Yeah. So give Steve a call. He's excellent. He's going to help you out. Tell him the Nikki Medoro Show sent you. I had a couple people in the comments already saying they're using Steve. They're going to use Steve. That is the best way to support the show, is to use Steve Moskowitz for any sort of issue that you may be having tax-wise, HR, accounting. He will get you through whatever you're going through. All right. Again, a big thank you to Debra, I know her as Deb Monroe. It's so hard to say Debra, for coming on the show. And you guys really liked the conversation. Vilma, loved the interview. Very interesting. I thought her story was even more than the writing. Loved her story was even more than the writing was very interesting. Your favorite author is Elizabeth Allende. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And love Matthew McConaughey too. Yeah, he has that book right there. But yeah, I think that it's one of my dreams to write a book. What about how to do it? You brainstorm. I loved that Debra was talking about just doing an outline. She's like, it's a freaking outline. It's not, not married to it. You could just do it. And Kim made an excellent point that it's like the news person in you, right? To do that. Cheryl says, I have at least 1,000 books on my Kindle and I read it every night. The only thing I don't like, death and scary and evil, or I check you out. So she's supernatural, but yeah. I mean, if you don't like anything kind of creepy, maybe not, but hey, give it a chance. She was talking about, the Kindle, you pay a certain amount every month. You could read so many books. Murphy likes Louise Penny, the Ganache Mysteries. I've never heard of that. Agatha Christie. Yeah, exactly. No, JR, my kids thing does not involve a kick me sign. Just kids being kids. Karen writes in biographies and autobiographies. I'm going to say, I don't particularly care for too many biographies unless we're talking about someone who's funny or there's something like that. I know people that just love historical novels and stuff like that. I should maybe give it more of a chance, but yeah, I like to escape into a world of fantasy and fiction. Nonfiction, it matters. There's some books that have moved me. I'm not saying I don't like any of them, but yeah, and then psychological thrillers. And again, thank you for everybody that was a recorded interview that I did my first time airing it. Just a little inside baseball for what was happening. I didn't know that I couldn't leave the page I was on and go back to it, or it would start the video over. Lesson learned. And that's why you kept seeing it repeat. So I learned. I'm learning. You're learning with me. So I really appreciate it. Okay. So let's get into something else. Okay. I teased it. I put it in my show rundown. So I have to do it. Okay. I want to touch on this, or should I just save it for tomorrow? You guys tell me, would you rather end the show talking about Galentines? Well, we have to talk about Galentines. Let's just talk about that first, because then we're going to get a little heavier, and I don't like to end the show so freaking heavy. So Galentine's Day. Anybody know what Galentine's Day is? Does anybody celebrate Galentine's Day? I mean, it's in the name, and it is today. So Galentine's Day is a totally made-up holiday that actually started a few years ago on this TV show. And I don't know how many of you guys watch this TV show, but Parks and Rec, Amy Poehler's character right there started Galentine's Day. And here is this is her on the show announcing it.
What's Galentine's Day? Oh, it's only the best day of the year. Every February 13th, my lady friends and I leave our husbands and our boyfriends at home and we just come and kick it breakfast style. Ladies celebrating ladies. You know my code. Hose before bros. Uteruses before deuterus. Got it. Ovaries before brovaries. A bouquet of hand-crocheted flower pens. A mosaic portrait of each of you made from the crushed bottles of your favorite diet soda. And a personalized 5,000-word essay of why you were all so awesome.
So that's Galentine's Day. It's basically a day where the ladies go out and probably drink wine or mimosas or just party and eat whatever. I've never participated in a Galentine's. Although, I mean, I went out with my friend. I went out for my friend's birthday this weekend. It was just a bunch of girls. So, but it wasn't a specific Galentine's. I know somebody. She had a mob of women with her and they got a limo and they went to wineries and they did all that. So a day to celebrate, I guess, just being a woman with your friends. So again, Amy Poehler started it. That episode was from 2010. Okay. And since then, the popularity of Galentine's Day has apparently grown. Let's see. According to Nielsen Media Research, the episode Galentine's Day garnered nearly 5 million viewers. And after the debut, the word was mentioned in episodes that aired in 2012, 2014, and by 2016, evidence of the world's appeal were starting to show up internationally as well. So it's always the day before Valentine's Day. So reminder, people, Valentine's Day is tomorrow, but it's always the day before. The research from National Today shows searches for Galentine's Day have increased 400% since 2015. Basically, it's just a day hanging out with your friends if you're a girl. I don't know if there's a Bro-Tine's Day or, I mean, Galentine's Day seems very restricted to women. John, before Galentine's Day, we need Festivus as a national holiday. Festivus for the rest of us. Exactly. I mean, I think any opportunity to hang out with your friends, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being with your significant other if you have a significant other. I think it's kind of cool to just take a little bit of time and spend time with your friends. They have said, research has shown that as you get older, your friends become even more important, even though it becomes even harder to maintain those relationships. I'll never forget, I worked with a guy in Sacramento, and he was older than me. I'm going to have to guess he's maybe 10 years older than me. Okay. So not a huge difference, but older than me. And I remember he had just said, he was just making like a flippant comment. He was like, yeah, I mean, I don't really see my friends anymore. And it blew me away. I was in my early 20s at the time. I was like, what do you mean you don't see your friends? I mean, besides work people, I hang out with my friends all of the time. And of course, it was before I had a kid. And even after I had my baby, I mean, I still was hanging out with my friends a lot. And I'm not saying I don't hang out with friends. I do make it a point, but you have to make it a point to hang out. And especially if you're in a relationship or married or, a long-term relationship, it can be extremely easy to just be with your partner. Like your partner is your best friend or you're really, really close. And then you kind of let go of all the other relationships in your life until all of a sudden the person that you're with, either married or dating long-term or, living with or what have you, they end up having to be everything for you. And that's unfair, right? I mean, one person cannot be, your therapist, your lover, your best friend, everything. You need to be your own person. And oftentimes when you're with your friends, you can be that person more, right? You're not just, so-and-so and so-and-so the relationship. You're your own person with your friends and make jokes and can be silly. Vilma says, I think if you don't have a Valentine, then Galentine's is great. It's a great alternative. Eric, again, what if you don't have a Valentine and you're a guy? So what you call it? Galentines? That's kind of hard to say. Broentines? Palentine's Day. That's pretty clever, Lori. That's pretty clever. Yeah, I think, hanging out with people is really important. Self-Valentine's Day. That's Lori. Yeah, there you go. Oh, Kim, on the flip side, being the only single person in my friend group is a lonely place to be. Yeah, you need it. Yeah, it's hard, right? It has to be hard. Now, again, I'm speaking as someone who's been married for a very long time, and I dated my husband for years before that. But, I have friends that are single, and it's not like I'm pitying them, but it does have to be kind of lonely sometimes, especially on Valentine's Day or whatever. And some people are in relationships and hate Valentine's Day. Oh, it's a Hallmark holiday. It's just made up. You should love somebody, every day of the year, not just one day a year. We don't go. Usually my husband will make like a nice dinner or something. I mean, I like Valentine's Day. If we do something big, awesome. If we don't do anything big, okay. I like a card. I think my love language is definitely like words and semi-gifts, but definitely a card. You can get away with a lot if you just give me a card, And my husband learned that a long time ago. Square says, buy beer and have a Galentine. There you go. Somebody else had mentioned. There you go. JR, a gallon size Medoro mule. Again, go to the Red Jack Saloon and go get, there it is in San Francisco. And go get the Medoro mule. Lori emailed me and told me that she had a lot of orders for the mule. Here she is with Brian Copeland's son. He's the guy that has his arm around her. That's Brian Copeland's son. And that's the cauliflower recipe that I made. So Lori, you're just in my shirt. I'm just loving you, Lori. And yeah, apparently on Super Bowl Sunday, a lot of people ordered my drink. So I'm very, very happy about that. Thank you for everybody that visited the Red Jack Saloon and ordered my drink from Lori. So that's a lot of fun. Okay. Speaking of being inside businesses, did you hear about this New Jersey spaghetti restaurant? We've heard these stories before. So there's this restaurant in New Jersey. Now, from what I gather, it's not like it's not like a Dave & Buster's or anything like that. It's an Italian restaurant, and I think that they, want to keep up a certain level or an atmosphere, and so they have made a new rule. They have said that they will no longer. This is Nettie's House of Spaghetti in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. They will no longer allow children under 10 to dine in the restaurant starting on March 8th. This is what they wrote. They wrote, "We love kids. We really, truly do. But lately, it's been extremely challenging to accommodate children at Nettie's between noise levels, lack of space for high chairs, cleaning up crazy messes, and the liability of kids running around the restaurant. We have decided that it's time to take control of the situation." One person who loved the idea said, "I've never been to Nettie's, but knowing I won't have to deal with children at a restaurant makes this establishment much more attractive. Will be coming soon." Another person said, "I don't think I could love Nettie's more, but here we are." Now, of course, on the flip side, others said it's a complete slap in the face to families and a symptom of how America hates children. I don't know if that's true. One Instagram user wrote, "Will you be checking birth certificates at the door? My 8-year-old is the size of an 11-year-old. Now, there's been a lot of reaction, of course. Now, this isn't the first time it's happened. In 2021, Red Rooster Burgers and Grill in California said they made a decision with great sadness that teenagers would no longer be allowed inside because parents weren't minding their kids. Now, I'll say this. If you're allowing your kid to run around a restaurant, you should just be kicked out. I mean, they should come over. They're like, "Listen, we need you to mind your children, and have a sign. Have a sign right by the hostess stand. Listen, this is a nice restaurant. We would love to accommodate your family, but if we see that there are children running around or being loud, we will ask you to leave. By accepting a seat at our table, you are also accepting our terms of service. So don't complain after, right? I would say something like that, or have it on a sign. Signs are fun. Just put it on a sign, let people read it, and then they can decide whether or not they want to get a get a table there or not. Well, the Lady Beatrice has boycott that restaurant. Yeah, it has to be difficult. Eric writes, they haven't staffed back up after COVID, I bet. Ooh, Lady Beatrice, she's not happy. Kids deserve to eat out too, so boycott their child-hating asses. I love it. I love the passion. Vilma, interesting. It's discriminatory. They should have a kids section. I like Wes's comment. America hates asshat parents, not children. There you go. That's really, really funny. That's really funny. Yeah, if kids can't behave, that's on the parents. Absolutely. Ooh. Okay, so this is an interesting point. Wes says, I would support any restaurant that has adults only. Do you think that a restaurant has to say that it's adult only, or should the ambiance of the restaurants kind of say that? Because I know some parents where they use restaurants to teach their kids manners. Like, we were going out to a restaurant. Kim and I were talking about that last week, right? You are going to order. You are going to look at the server in the eye. You're going to say please and thank you. You're going to mind yourself, all those sorts of things. If you don't give children an opportunity to kind of practice in the real world, they're not going to know how to behave. On the other hand, if you're going to like a $500 a plate dinner and, it's a special anniversary, and you're sitting next to a table who isn't teaching their children these things and is just bringing them because they have a butt ton of money and don't care about their kids having manners, that sucks, because this could be a special occasion for you. And simply because people can't teach their children manners and how to behave in public, it can be ruined. But there is no guarantee in life that you're always going to be comfortable. Right? There is no guarantee in life that if you go to a fancy schmancy restaurant, that the service is going to be top notch and you're not going to have to hear a crying baby or screaming children. I don't know how feasible it is to have an adult only restaurant. I would just say that the price tag of the plates, maybe no kids menu, something like that, could kind of do that for you. Yeah, exactly. John says, this is why Chuck E. Cheese and Dave & Buster's was invented. Yes. But again, going back to how do we teach our children to behave in restaurants? I mean, Dave & Buster's, not every restaurant, well, I'm about to say not every restaurant has video games, but it's becoming more common, at least at these casual restaurants, for them to have those little computer screeny things that you could play games with. So it is becoming more like Dave & Buster's every day. Yeah, it could be discriminatory. The restaurant would be accused of being discriminatory. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think you can flat out say no children, but by the prices of the food, the ambiance of the place, those sorts of things, I think could deter parents from taking their kids. Lori writes, parents need to learn to train their kids on situational etiquette. Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to give children an opportunity, but also as a community, we need to give a little bit of leeway, right? I mean, if there's a parent that's trying and you see the parent trying to tell their kids to have manners, not letting them run around, but maybe the kids being a little loud, you have to, as a community, understand that you're also part of the education, right? Somebody taught you. I'm sure you weren't always, the most mild-mannered person in the world or a child. So give people a break. Oh, Miss Organic. I'm going to cream, puff, and wine pairing at my local wine bar in Pacifica for Galentine's tonight. Ms. Organic, is this the first time that you've done a Galentine's, or is this a tradition with you and your gal pals? Let me know in the comments. I've never done a Galentine's. Nobody's ever invited me. I'm not going to organize one. It's just nothing I've ever thought of doing. Like, Valentine's Day kind of sneaks up on me a little bit. Ooh, this is an interesting point. John says maybe schools need to have etiquette classes, kind of like home ec. Again, if you're teaching etiquette in high school, though, yeah, teach that earlier and then like reinforce it. Plus, I don't know. I don't want to be like kids nowadays, but kids nowadays, it just seems We have to start younger and younger because they're being influenced by not the most positive influences earlier in life. So, yes, parents should have the biggest influence and family on your kids. But if you keep a device in their hand, if you allow them to even hop on the phone for an hour or two a day, they're getting influenced. Are they being subjected to the right kind of manners? Yeah, Sam. Love my man Sam. All goes back to parents teaching their kids the right manners at restaurants. Restaurants should never ban kids or adults with kids. We should encourage and support families. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sam, what do you think of this though? Lori writes, restaurants are private businesses. They can have dress codes. So why not adult only or adult only days or hours? I'm wondering if and I'm not in the restaurant or the bar business, trying to get around the discriminatory. I mean, if you're only serving booze and then maybe appetizers or something, then you could be like, sorry, this is an adult establishment. We don't let anyone 21 or younger in. That could be a workaround. But yeah. If you want to simulate Chuck E. Cheese, find a recording of screaming kids to play as you smell your old running shoes while eating stale pizza. Oh, and Daddy Chi writes in, it's a dream of mine to have a calzone in a crotch goblin free environment. There's always your car. You can always get a calzone and eat in your car or truck. Ms. Organic Girl back. It's the first time of my birthday is the 15th. So on Wednesday, or happy early birthday. So it's more of a birthday celebration. I love it, but it totally times in with Galentine's Day. That's really awesome. So yeah, I think that do I have you back? Uh-oh. Okay. Hopefully I'm back. So yeah, that is a funny thing. Crotch goblins, haven't heard that name. Yes, in time. So yeah, I think that when we're talking, exactly, and my internet exploded. When we're talking about restaurants and celebrating special occasions, sometimes kids can ruin it, but kids are part of our community. So let's just give a little leeway. Okay. Before I go tomorrow, we are going to speak with someone about, speaking of social media and cell phones and things like that, about TikTok. Now there is a ton of controversy surrounding TikTok. It's owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, and has in recent months, I don't know about years, really kind of taken the lead as the social media that's the most popular. Although YouTube, in a different way, is kind of in competition. So we're going to be talking about, is TikTok following YouTube? What does it mean to kind of lead the pack or to follow? And where is social media kind of heading in this field? So I'll be speaking with someone from theinformation.com about that. Also, I wanted to get into it. I know it's in the show notes. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but I want to have a better, longer conversation with you guys about this lawsuit against Chico Unified School District here in California. A woman is suing because the school district, I guess, has this parental secrecy policy. That's at least what she's calling it, where they counsel students without the parents' knowledge. And this mom says, my daughter was being counseled about transitioning to a male, and they never let me know. So I want to have a conversation about that. Also, this very straight from the school. And who's responsible for this? As we talk about children misbehaving inside restaurants, what happens when these children misbehave at school and then there's tragic outcomes because of it? You have to stay engaged. So that conversation we will do tomorrow. We'll also talk about what I think more than 200,000 students are quote unquote missing from public schools since COVID. Whether it's homeschooling, moving to private school, what have you. What do you see as the future of public education in this country? So we'll discuss all of that tomorrow. I apologize for all of the glitches. You guys know that I'm trying my hardest. I really, really am to get through this. So I really appreciate all of you. I'm going to promise. Show today. You guys were really, really generous in the super chat. $20 from Harry. Happy birthday to Kim's son, Jacob. Yes, that's where Kim is. She's celebrating the birthday. $20 from Karen. Can't listen very much, but she want me to stay on air. Mwah. Thank you so much. Another $20 from Harry. You are just so generous today. Bigger house deserves more teddy bears for your daughter. You should see her room, Harry. I'm telling you. Lori from Above the Bar. Check out the Medoro Mule at the Red Jack Saloon. Thank you so, so much. And she did hire Steve Moskowitz, and I appreciate that. Pamela with a $20 super sticker. I adore you. I love the super stickers. They're so awesome. The Lady Beatrice didn't like the Clueless commercial, but decided to donate $5 to us. I liked it. I thought it was cute. James Buchanan with the $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. Nancy came in with $10, and she also uses Steve Moskowitz. So Anne is donating to my Patreon. Again, the NikkiMedoroShow.com is the link to the Patreon. Please become what I like to call Medorables, our cool club of monthly subscribers. Vilma with a $10 super sticker. I love you, Vilma. You always chime in on the chat, and that's so awesome. Ms. Organic, another early happy birthday to you. Please continue to tune in. $5 super sticker from her. Wes, also a huge contributor, a $2 super sticker. I love your contributions to the show and to the chat. And then Rick started us off with $25. And Rick, thank you so, so much. So yeah, if you guys can donate, just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com. Patreon link is there. YouTube link is there. Let's get us up. I want to get my subscriber numbers up. It requires you guys spreading the word about my show. Grab people's phones. Just subscribe. Just subscribe for me. Like, you're going to love her. It's going to be so much fun. And please just continue to join us every single day. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk tomorrow.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.